Hello, Internet. Mike Meier, DIY. Hey, recently I've decided I needed one of those high-rise toilets in case we're going to have some knee operations, and I wanted a high-rise toilet, but I didn't want the price. I found a way to avoid spending $600 on a new toilet, and then have to be stuck with it if I don't want it in there any longer. So here's a video. It'll save you some hundreds. Whoop, there went one. Okay, see that? Ooh, did you hear that? Ooh, that popped right on there, didn't it? Anyway, there's bolts. And already I see a problem. That doesn't look normal. Normally, oh God, no. Normally, this is just a bolt sticking up. You can't see the head, and this one's in backwards. I'm thinking that this isn't a normal installation. Welcome to Mike's world. Well, let's see how bad the flange is ruining the bottom. I hope it isn't. I'm not sure what we're going to do about that. Well, let's see. Let's see if the other one's the same way. It wasn't down tight. It's settled. Really, when you put a toilet in, after a couple of days, you need to come back and tighten these up a little bit, because just from the weight of the water and the people sitting on it will actually crush the gasket that's down there. But right now, my problem is I'm not going to be able to use those bolts that they gave me to death, unless I can figure out a way to use them. Normally, I wouldn't have this problem. Most toilets aren't like this, but we do have the problem. So, see if we can figure out a way around it. Okay. I'm guessing these are lag bolts going right into the floor. They feel like they're solid enough, but if there's lag bolts, then that ring must be damaged somehow. What are we gonna find? Yep, it's a lag bolt. Well, it works. Oh, we'll run with this. You just had the same problem when you bought a new toilet. Put it on here, because either way you got to bolt it down. More time and think about it. If I line it up with this one, I'll have about an inch. But will I hit that water line? I guess it doesn't matter either way. That's in the middle, so let's see if I flipped it over. I'd still hit it. I wouldn't have to go down. I could go just let it stick out a little more, but I don't know if I want that. Maybe I'll go with number 3. That'll give me room for the water line over there. I don't want to bring that water line up to the floor again. We'll try that. I'm going to go with number 3. Well, anyway, it's not going to solve this other problem. We'll go with 3. So I'm going to get these out of here, and I'm going to have to go. I don't have a pole like that. Hopefully I can find one at the hardware store. Take this off of here and see if that flange is ruined. Or not ruined, but the part that the bolt slides into is ruined. Got the water line unhooked, disconnected from the back. I got the 2 bolts out of the bottom, whatever kind of bolts you come up with. And now I took my knife and I slid it around trying to cut that little bit of caulk. And now the bag that all these parts and stuff are in, I set it on the floor over here to keep that wax ring off of it. And I'm going to set it right on top of there. Here goes nothing. Well, there's what I found. When I first looked at it, I thought, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Now I see it. See this right here? That's cracked. See it? So, rather than try to reinvent the wheel again, I'm just going to get some longer bolts and bolt it down. Don't see that's going to be a problem. I mean, what's the difference when you bolt this down? Yeah, this isn't cracked here. This is the part that seals, so yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'll just have to be careful to line it up when I set it on there. Okay, so I'm going to take my scraper and scrape off all this crud, get it all clean, get all this wax off, and then we'll go from there. But before I do that, I'm going to set this on here and kind of line this up where I want it. You see, there's what I was getting at. Usually this probably would be over here a little bit further, but in this case I put it back there so you couldn't see it. I wish it was a good idea, but I just want to get an idea what this is going to look like when I'm done. Easier to look at it here and move it around than it is I don't see that it's going to make any difference. If I flip it over, is it going to help me at all? I don't think so. If anything, this is going to be awfully close to the flange. So I'm going to stick with my first plan. It's the 3rd hole from the back, like that. The hole will be sitting up here. Yeah. That should work. Now I just got to find some bolts longer. Okay, pay attention. I noticed this. Make sure that this is sitting on top of this, because if you put this under this, it'll bottom out. I want it to be able to slide around. Get it? So when I tighten it down, that it is actually tight. The directions tell you, but they just gloss right over it. So you set this down, and you set this down on top of it like this, and then there's a wax ring. There's a wax ring, then this, and another wax ring. Got it? It's really simple, but if you do it wrong, it's not gonna. The toilet's gonna be resting on that flange. And we know that flange isn't very strong or it wouldn't have been broken. See that? It's just cheap plastic. Too bad they don't make them out of metal. Of course, then they'd probably rust. So anyway, I'm going to go get me some 6-inch lag bolts, 1/4 inch. And that'll get me all the way down into the wood. Those lag bolts came out hard, so the wood's still good. I'm not going to tear that flange out of there because I'm just asking for trouble. So I'm going to go back to the way it was as far as bolting it down. And you realize the only thing that holds that toilet there is the wax ring, two little bolts. Whether you call them bolts or lag bolts, whatever you want to call them. So once you get this down, that's another reason that I seal around here to keep any movement like this. All right, and then I'm not even going to put the caps on it, and I'm going to leave it be used for a few days, and then I'm going to come in and tweak it down just a little bit tighter. You got to be careful. That is glass. If you get too much pressure, you will break it. I know, I broke one once. I wasn't happy. Anyway, so you want to do this kind of slowly. This wax ring that's on there, you're going to have two of them, so they're going to give even more. It's probably going to be pretty high at first. I'm going to have to do a lot of wiggling and making sure that I don't over tighten that bolt. Those bolts. Got it? Got it. I'm going to go get me some bolts. Okay, I wanted to scrape all that stuff off the bottom of this toilet before I put it back on here. All the beeswax and stuff. But I didn't want to take the top off, the back of the... I'm going to see if I can do it like this. Okay, this is what I put on there. There's pretty good directions here. First thing it says is disconnect the water line from the toilet and empty the toilet of water. That shouldn't be too hard. I came in here a little bit ago and looked, and first I'm going to turn off the water. Can you see that? Turn it off. Everybody will be different, but there. And remove the top. Ta-da! Yes, we have well water. And put it in the top in a safe place. In other words, it will break. That's pretty safe. Now that I got the water turned off, I can flush it. And we'll get rid of the water. This toilet's going to be, I'm not going to take the back off this tank. I'm just going to try to pick the whole toilet up and set it on a side. I've read the directions through once, and it doesn't look like it's going to be that tough. As you can see, there's still some water in here. I'll have to get that out with a sponge. And there's still water in the toilet, and I'll have to get that out with a plunger. Okay, with the help of a plunger and a sponge, I was able to get most of the water out of here. I'm hoping I don't get too much water flopping around. This thing, I'm going to have to pick this whole thing up, set it over here. I noticed that this toilet's been in here about 6-8 months, something like that. The other one had a little flaw in it. Anyway, make a long story short, I noticed that it was loose. Look. Well, maybe you can't tell it, but it's loose on the bottom. Anyway, the kit comes with these bolts stick up out of here. I don't know if I'll tear it off with my finger or not, but I'll have to pop those little covers off. There's a nut under there. Bolt comes up from the floor, hooks into the flange, and it comes with extra long bolts, because you can see the bolt would never clear this. So this is going to sit right there where the toilet is, And that's the way it's going to be. This is reversible, so you can choose which way you want it to be. Okay, you want it to either, you can have it like this, or like this. I haven't decided which way is the best. Most of the weight is going to be on the front. So what I'm going to try to do is to fit it in like this, I think. And what I'm doing, look here, I'm going to try to get this front end to stick out as little as possible. But I want it to stick out a little bit. I want the weight to be right there, rather than here. That makes sense. If I had it turned around like this, okay, and I set it in there about there, the weight would be on this little part here, and it'd be an opening here, closer to the weight. The sewage actually goes in down here. So I'm thinking it'd be better, for me anyway, to put this close to the back, but not against the back, and let it stick out just a little bit. Give me a little more support. This part. All right. I'm hoping I can get away with that. So I'll be going. You know, look at these. These are actually numbered. See, the holes are numbered. So on my installation, I think I'm going to use number 5. That'll leave the toilet will be sitting about here. Now the width is what I haven't looked at yet. I'm a little concerned about the width. And I think we're going to be all right. I hope. So basically the toilet will be sitting up that high, which we'll see if she likes it. All right, you can see my silicone is coming loose. So I'm going to go out and make sure I've got some silicone to put. I'm going to put a little bit of silicone around everything, like where this base sits on the floor. Since the floor isn't perfectly level, you know, nothing is. This is kind of a bumpy vinyl, and I'll just put a seam, just a little bit, just to keep water from seeping under there. I'll call it 3.5 inches off the ground, off the floor, so that old people just fall off the toilet instead of crawl off of it. Yeah, we're going to have some surgery in the family, and we decided to do this. We looked into getting a bigger toilet, taller toilet, but very limited to what you can get, and they're very expensive. They're like $600. This is $100. You do the math. All right, well, we'll start right out here. I'm going to look at the directions and get after it.